Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Braden Lynch Studio Acting Tutorial. I am your host, Braden Lynch. My aim is to give you more tools for understanding material, connecting to material, and handling performance situations. And why should you take what I have to say seriously? We'll start with the fact that all of the most respected and greatest actors in the world throughout history use techniques similar to this, and they didn't learn them once they got to that status. They learned them well before they got their first job. Next, I'm a working actor in LA, and I've been a coach here since 2006. Lastly, just listen to this video and maybe a couple more free ones and decide for yourself. Also, let me go ahead and address two arguments that I commonly hear from people who don't want to learn this stuff. Arguments that I hope were quelled in you by the promo video if they were there to begin with. One, I don't need technique. I just use my instinct, I read the material, and I feel so much. That's wonderful. It really is. But you've got two problems. One, it's not enough. Think about it like this. You felt something reading about your character losing a loved one. That's great. But if you were to actually watch someone lose a loved one, you would feel more. And if you actually lost a loved one yourself, you would feel far more than that. The second problem is that that instinct feeling won't last. By the time you memorize, and you must memorize if you want a serious career, that instinct will have been spent. The second argument that I commonly hear is, technique gets me in my head. Yeah, it will for a time. Ask any musician, any juggler, any yogi. When learning a new skill, you are going to be in your head for a bit, and then eventually you won't. It takes time to be great. And now, before we jump in, there are a few really important things that I want to cover so that we can be on the same page. Number one, the myth of inborn talent, the X factor, the idea that some people just have it and some don't. Wherever you think you are on that spectrum of talent, don't fall for this idea. Acting, like everything else in the world, is a learnable skill. Now, I may be preaching to the choir since you're here watching an acting tutorial in the first place, but I still want to lock this in because the myth exists in all of our heads. Society has put it there, and it can have a huge effect on how much work you put in and then therefore how much you move forward. The truth is that the people who work hard and smart always end up becoming greater than the ones who take their talent for granted. I see it all the time. Second, this work requires a balance between the intellect and the emotion. There are some actors who love the emotional side but avoid the intellectual. Their scenes are usually very deep and emotive, but usually wrong, and provably so. Some other actors love the intellectual but not the emotional side. Their performances tend to be in the right direction, but empty and/or fake. You have to have both. And the emotion needs to be real. Sometimes it's painful, but most great performances are. Third, the construction of this technique. It's really, really simple, which I think is what makes it accessible to absolutely everyone. The execution of it, though, can be delightfully intricate, which is what I get really excited about. Now, for this entire season, I'm going to keep things as simple as I can. We'll get into the intricate stuff in later seasons. Now, fourth, this technique is based on human psychology. There is nothing vague or inexplicable or overly artsy about it. There is no feel the moment type stuff that no one I have ever spoken to has been able to explain satisfactorily. Everything is definable and very understandable because it comes from how every single one of us behaves in real life on a daily basis. And you will understand it. It just might take a while for you to be able to apply it well. But once you can, you will blow your old self out of the water along with anyone else who doesn't have a real or complete technique. Lastly, I want to make sure that you understand what it means to be an actor. There is the deeper, moving audiences, connecting people to their empathy, making people laugh, art piece of it that should, I think, be the deeper ideal, but more immediate. And the thing that will help you book jobs is the fact that your job, quite literally, is to help a writer tell a story by fitting yourself into a specific slot. Every role is asking for something specific. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to figure out what they want and then be artful inside that space. So, now on to episode 2, where we're going to talk about what I consider to be the basics, and P.S. what I consider to be the basics is usually far more than what most people consider to be the basics, so even if you know what the basics are, don't skip it. I'll see you there. To prove to you that this technique comes from real life, let's take a really simple example from the life of an actor: getting an audition.